Hello, and welcome back to Good Ship Cruising. It's Jed, your trusted cruise travel guide, and today we're talking about the Carnival Firenze. Carnival Firenze joined the Carnival Fleet earlier this year under the Carnival Fun Italian style branding. Firenze is totally different to her Carnival Fleet mates and offers a unique experience. This new ship does in fact come from Carnival's subsidiary brand Costa Cruises based in Italy. And as such, the ship is brimming with Italian charm and style. Compared to her Carnival fleet mates, the Firenze is a floating Italian art palace. Unfortunately, my experience wasn't as slick as the palatial interiors, but instead plagued with a few teething issues. They say first impressions are everything, and sadly, Carnival's Long Beach terminal experience failed dismally. A big warning to anyone with a foreign passport because you're in for a totally wild check-in experience that will most likely last an eternity. After waiting in the initial queue outside the terminal building and yet another queue once inside, we were unable to be checked in due to having a foreign passport. Or so we were told. After this, we went through security to join the customer service line, which was substantially long at this point. This is where I encountered other passengers skipping the line, staff members seemingly watching the chaos unfold, all whilst standing around and joking with each other. And then, according to the agent completing the check-in process, there was in fact no issue with using a foreign passport, and he was unsure as to why I had been directed to the customer service line in the first place. This entire experience had lasted for over an hour and a half, and I've never experienced a check-in process like this in my 15 or so past cruises. But I was really optimistic and open-minded that things would improve, as I'm always grateful to be taking a cruise on a fun ship. Sadly though, this was just a taste of things to come. The tendering process on board Firenze was equally disorganised, lengthy, and disappointing as the check-in process had been. I understand Firenze is new to the fleet, however, Carnival is one of the world's most experienced cruise lines, if not the most. I was so surprised to see the lack of organisation when it came to tendering. Lines were so long that they were entering back into the accommodation areas of the ship. This meant that there were guests that had to tackle these huge crowds just to get back to their staterooms. And that's the last thing you want when you make it back on board the ship after a big day out. This disorganisation also flowed through to disembarkation day, and it felt just like deja vu. Once again, there were monster lines and confusion at every corner. There are some outside factors that contribute to this, like guests departing when they shouldn't be, and the poor layout of the ship. From my perspective, the Carnival team seemed to have lost all control of the disembarkation process, and it was absolute chaos. It was so disappointing to start and finish the cruise in the exact same manner, and it really cast a dark cloud over my personal Carnival Firenze experience. The layout of the ship will also require some extra attention, as there are quite a few design quirks on this class of ship. Mainly the location of the galley means access to the main dining room requires you to transit across decks 4 or 5. This is not a super big inconvenience, but keep that in mind if you're struggling with the layout on Firenze. I know it definitely took me a couple of days for this to become second nature. Many Carnival diehards will actually be quite familiar with the basic layout as it is shared with the Vista class. However, the interior design on board Firenze is entirely different to her Carnival cousins. I noticed the interiors to be very dark and dare I say almost gloomy in some parts of the ship. This is due to the very rich and deep features of the interior design, some of which I found overcomplicated, and it adds to the confusion of finding your way around the ship, especially on a shorter cruise. This rabbit warren style of design was particularly noticeable in the Lido pool area and also the main dining rooms. The design aesthetic combined with the quirky layout of Firenze had me wondering where I was going on quite a few occasions. Fortunately, there are plenty of great attributes to be found on the Firenze as well. The interiors are bespoke and offer an elevated experience in comparison to many of Firenze's fleet mates. The ship is a little bit fancy to say the least, but that's great for any Carnival diehard fan that wants to shake things up a little bit and might be avoiding some of the bigger ships in the fleet, like the new XL class. The Firenze's interior offers an experience more akin to a classic ocean liner than that of a modern cruise ship. The ship is absolutely dripping with beautiful artworks and Italian flair. None more so than the totally fantastical Michelangelo dining room. If you had any doubts about the heritage of this ship beforehand, you wouldn't after experiencing this magnificent venue. The Michelangelo dining room is a floating artwork in itself, and it really adds to the Carnival fun Italian style that the cruise line is pushing here. This Italian flair carries on to many of the dining venues on board, with fun Italian cuisine built into many of the complimentary offerings. Venues like Il Mercato and Tomodoro are filled with delicious Mediterranean bites to eat, which helps sell the Italian fantasy even more. I've always been a massive fan of the variety of complimentary options Carnival offer on their ships, and Firenze is no different. All of the Carnival favourites can be found on Firenze, like Guy's Burger Joint and Tomodoro, which is similar to the Blue Iguana Cantina on other ships. Both of these venues offer Italian-inspired fusion options, which all add to the fun Italian-style experience. There's plenty to choose from, and this is a strong point on Firenze. The quality and variety of food in the main dining room in Lido Marketplace has taken a dip, however it is in line with what the cruise line is offering across its fleet, so I don't have any complaints about that. And as always, you have the option to elevate your dining experience in one of the paid venues like Bonsai Sushi. There's a couple of standout features that I personally love about Firenze as well. I think the outdoor spaces on Firenze are a real positive on board this class of ship. I'm personally a huge fan of the ropes course, and I love the fact that it's still complimentary. This is really important as cruise lines are passing on the cost to guests more so than ever. I also love the fact that Firenze has a retractable roof over the Lido pool, which is perfect for when the weather takes a turn for the worse. When it comes to accommodation, one of my top tips is to grab one of these unique staterooms located at the aft of Deck 2. These type of staterooms can only be found on the Vista class cruise ships, and it's unreal to be so close to the wake of the ship, not to mention these epic sunsets. And despite the teething issues Firenze is facing, the Fun Squad, as always on Carnival, make it their absolute priority to make sure you have the best vacation possible. The cruise director Joey on this particular sailing seemed to be everywhere all of the time, and it was clear it was his goal to make sure you were having an absolute blast. Carnival was the first cruise line I ever sailed on, and because of that, they will always hold a special place in my heart. I'm so grateful whenever I'm stepping on board a fun ship. So I was super disappointed that my time on Carnival Firenze was plagued by so many issues. I'm hoping as time goes on, the embarkation, disembarkation and tendering process are all drastically improved. The customer service at Long Beach is also in dire need of improvement. Otherwise, Carnival Firenze is a beautiful ship inside and out, and offers a unique experience unlike anything else in the Carnival fleet. I can't wait to see where the Firenze goes in the future, and hopefully many improvements are made so this beautiful ship can reach its full potential. So that wraps up my experience on Carnival Firenze. Let me know in the comments below if you've been on Carnival Firenze, or any cruise ship for that matter, and experienced the same problems. If you enjoyed this video, please feel free to leave a like or comment, and you can even subscribe to keep up to date with all the latest good ship content. Thank you so much for stopping by, and I look forward to seeing you soon.